Netflix making news this week with a new documentary featuring never-before-seen video of Sean Diddy Combs in moments that he clearly viewed as secret, including a high-stakes call with his lawyer just days before his now infamous arrest, plus Diddy reacting in real time as new lawsuits dropped against him. Combs has publicly objected that he says the videos were, quote, stolen.
I want to have a life to be able to live. You know, it's really going to be hard for me to take more hits than I take it, God forbid, get in front of a jury and have a chance. And so I'm having this emergency call because something has to give. I've listened. I've been a superb client, as you said. I jumped on the plane. I'm coming to New York, but I'm just running around waiting for a shoe to drop.
These new videos contribute to a critical portrait of Diddy in the documentary, which we can report tonight has now jumped to #1 for Netflix shows in the U.S. since debuting this week. Sean Combs' The Reckoning tackles Diddy's entire life, including previous legal controversies, the recent trial, which saw him acquitted on the most serious charges, including RICO, but convicted for prostitution crimes that landed him in prison for about 2 more years. Diddy's team is also rebutting this project as a, quote, shameful hit piece. They note the obtained footage was not authorized for release. Netflix says they legally obtained the videos. In addition, tonight, another dynamic here is that another famous rapper is, of course, behind this film, 50 Cent, who has long publicly clashed with Diddy and has recently expanded into a wide range of film and TV projects. He has plenty to say about Combs' record. The rapper, actor, and producer joins me now. He's sold over 30 million albums, won all kinds of awards and accolades along the way, and is now a successful film and TV producer. And we're also joined by his colleague on the project, Alexandria Stapleton, an Emmy-winning showrunner and director of this series. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Oh, man, thanks for having us.
Always great to have a 50-day.
Yeah, it's always going to be good. Great for ratings.
There we go. It's an important project, clearly. The question for both of you, 50 first, why this project, why now?
Well, we waited until after the results of the trial to release the project, but I started like almost 5 months before I was able to find Alex, and finding an Emmy Award-winning showrunner and director is detrimental to the project being really well put together. So, you know, they should expect it to perform like Reggie Jackson's did.
Thank you. Yeah, I think why it's coming out now is we wanted to wait, to get through all of the legal proceedings, the criminal trial, and it spans, it's 4 parts, and it spans over 30 years of pop culture, his life. So it took some time, to say the least, to put all of this together.
It's an important story, and you could just tell it with all the public material. Mm-hmm. You go further. You've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed, in private moments, talking to his lawyer, cameras running. Let's take a look.
It's the middle of September and there's still no indictment.
Bro, then you have to have a spokesman. You have to have some sort of comms to constantly be pushing that, Mark. Because you may just be a person that you just may watch CNN. So you at the wrong place looking to see what the people with the possible jurors are thinking. It could be somebody that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business of media and propaganda.
50, how'd you get it, and what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you're a journalist, Harvey. Harvey, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it.
Mm.
Yeah.
What he said.
and what do you think it conveys? Because we see someone trying to pull the strings and talking about, he would say affecting, others would say manipulating the public views of the allegations.
I think that, one big theme of the series is to go behind the scenes to really understand how brilliant you could say Sean Combs is at marketing, at owning his narrative, controlling the narrative at all times. And so why would that stop, when his life is on the line? So I think that, on its face, that's what it is. But as you get deeper in the film, you start to realize, perhaps how some of these tactics, how they really came to present themselves, during the trial.
You show that, his abilities, his early rise. Right. Alexandra, you also give time to victims of the alleged abuse. Some of the cases are in different procedural postures. And you show victims who were women and men. Why is that important?
Because, victims of sexual assault, sexual violence, that should, gender should not be a part of that conversation. When you are a victim, you are a victim. And I think that, this series was a platform in a way for these alleged victims to come forward, give their truth, put context to their situations when so much of it was ripped out, and we just the world was going for the salacious headlines, and they really had the time to tell their story. Yeah, and the film takes us way behind the PR or propaganda machine. You see Diddy the day he's finding out about new suits against him while he's in New York preparing for a possible criminal arrest. Right. This is another moment from the video that 50 said he won't tell us where he got it. But it's a rare window into his thinking. I can say, just like Nixon didn't think the Watergate tapes would come out against him, it would appear that Diddy did not think he would lose control of this video as he talks about an accuser. Take a look.
I don't know what level of brokenness, disease is going on. God told me to do nothing, so I gotta do what God told me to do. And the one I want to do. You know, they studying the storm, man, about to be tripping. That was a liar. The girl that's in my group that was on my last album. You're on my last album now. All of a sudden, I'm this person. I'm this monster. That, man. Gloves coming off.
Alexandria, what does this show in the story you're telling?
Well, this is a moment where the lawsuits, I would say, take a turn and they become very personal for him. Don Richard is one of the alleged victims who filed a lawsuit, and I think that this is a moment where he was nicked. His armor was nicked, I guess you could say, because I think Sean Combs is a person who probably feels like to step to him, especially legally, takes a lot of courage that I don't think he really assumed that a lot of people were going to have, even though the Cassie lawsuit had already been out. And so I think he was a little off balance, but that quickly turned to anger.
And 50, the project, I've seen all 4 episodes, it doesn't feel like a personality critique. It feels like it goes to the conduct, the alleged abuse, some of it alleged, some of it proven. And so you also show, one person who worked with Diddy, this was a Bad Boy co-founder who had a falling out with him, as apparently many people did. And it goes beyond the bravado. Some would say, 50, you have some bravado, and that's okay. Here, it seems that it turns into something more sinister and abusive. I want to play Mr. Burroughs talking about it and get your view of why this was an important part of the story. Take a look.
He had this thing with strong men, and he had a thing with wanting to be one, but not positioned to be one street-wise, but positioned to be one industry-wise. And they call that a paper gangster.
No, I'm not paying, nor am I involved in any of that.
And so as he's paper gangstering, he's also trying to street gangster.
Yeah, Kurt Burroughs has a lot of insight. And, this documentary is about people being able to tell their truth or tell their version of the story. And the only thing, I wish we were able to have Diddy be in the doc. So he could have said some things that, make people understand why people are saying these things about him.
The outreach went to his team and they gave denials, but he didn't want to participate.
Yeah.
What do you think of the psychology, 50? Because in getting to know you, I've learned that you could have been a full-time psychologist and done very well with that. You have a keen eye for people. Fair?
Oh, yeah, I try.
Mr. Burroughs makes the argument that Diddy was overcompensating, that he wasn't initially actually a tough guy.
Right.
And then there's the old saying, be careful who you pretend to be, you might become them.
This is true.
Did that happen to him in your view?
I'm not sure if that's what transpired, but because I don't know him to be tough. Like we haven't even had problems. Like me and him. Like our issue, they'll say we had beef for 20 years, but I have hired both of his sons for different projects that I worked on, like both two different television shows, Quincy and Justin. So I don't like have that energy towards him, like where we trying to hurt each other. All I would, like, while other people pointed out those situations, like that he was dangerous like that, I said, oh, okay. I take it in, but we never got there.
Alexandria, the story also broadens well beyond the recent case. You look at a very controversial incident he was involved in early in his life, where people were badly hurt and killed, lost their life, but it was like a melee, not one-on-one violence. You look at the infamous case in the nightclub with J-Lo, where another artist, Shine, took the rap, not him. Are you trying to tell a story that he's been getting away with things this whole time, or is that up to the viewer to decide?
Absolutely up to the viewer. I think that my job was to show patterns, and my job was to report the facts and things that happened. And I think that it's pretty obvious that there are patterns that follow him, trails, of destruction and devastation that follow. And I think that, again, context is everything. And so when you're talking about Sean Combs, when you're talking about these cases, you can't just cherry pick one to make it all make sense. You have to look at the piece as a whole.
Yeah. Now we have to talk about Tupac, which I wasn't committed to, but then I watched the doc. So
didn't know you were getting that.
You have a lot of people saying stuff in there that makes it sound like maybe he was responsible for that murder, which has never been proven. That's a very serious thing.
But you have Keefe D over in Vegas now, getting ready to go on trial for that case, saying those things.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with his trial. I think right now it's up for August of 2026, and so it'll be very interesting. It was fascinating, though, to unearth, different people that are not in the direct line of, when all the Keefe news came out. Someone like Kirk Burrows, you get to understand more of his opinion about what was going down. But I think more than just the actual murders and the tragic deaths of both Tupac and Biggie, I think that for us it was really important to understand some of the dynamics of those three, Sean Combs, Biggie, and Tupac, and what was really going on behind the scenes. That often gets lifted because everyone just wants to talk about, the murder, and not to really digest why.
But do you think a viewer's left with the impression that he was responsible?
I think that that's really up to the court system and not to me. Yeah. Or the film. We're just presenting, things that have been reported on, have been said by Keefe D, himself repeatedly, and the LAPD.
Show some love, brother love.
Go on.
No, I'm just saying what Keefe was saying.
What he was saying, yeah. And yeah, you're speaking about a key person who some people would say, oh, that's strong evidence. Other people would say, when you get into years later and people with various agendas, you don't know. You have a juror in here. What did that show us about this case? Because there is a tension within all this. It's no stranger to many people that the justice system fails in all sorts of ways. You show how it failed survivors and Cassie, clearly. At the same time, he beat the case in New York. I remember the day it happened, and I looked at 50's Instagram for Diddy News, as so many Americans do. And in all fairness, 50 said, okay, he beat a big part of the case, right? You said. Many people think that was an unjust outcome, but when talking to the jurors, what did you find? Because the film looks at all of this horror, but then finds that a jury of his peers in New York, ultimately in this era, said the government did not prove the whole RICO case.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really complicated. And I think that to break down what went right and what maybe went left or wrong in that trial is that's a whole other documentary. But I think that, we have two jurors, two very different types of New Yorkers, that were interviewed in the film. And I think that when you talk to them, I mean, it was very clear to me that they stood behind that decision. They stood behind it 1,000%.
Because?
Because they felt that based on the charges that were presented by the federal government, and that they could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Sean Combs was guilty of,
RICO.
Yeah. That they overcharged.
That they overcharged. I think that when you get into the, I don't know if our laws or our legal system are the best when it comes to the gray matter of sexual assault.
They had tanks out in front of his house, Ari. Like they made a bigger, more extreme approach to the investigation.
So you think the government did basically mishandle what was still strong evidence?
They did overdo it.
They overdid it.
They did great. He beat the case. To me, that what he was charged with, that's a victory. Like that, to end up with 50 months when you had when your life on the line is a victory, But to be the only person that's incarcerated for hiring and transporting male prostitutes is different.
Yeah, life on the line, also a 50 lyric.
Yeah,
it is. When he comes out, and it's not that long from now, he re-enters this world. He's got a stack of civil cases that could bankrupt even the wealthiest people, and you give voice to some of those accusers and individuals. What do you think the future should hold for Diddy? Should he be, sort of re-embraced or not?
I don't know if he. I don't know why he didn't file bankruptcy. Like it would have indicated to the sharks that even if you see blood in the water, there's not that much blood. Right? Because the lawyers, they came with so many lawsuits. It's like 80 different civil suits. So,
it's over 100 now.
Yeah, that is going to exhaust him. The legal process will exhaust him.
I think he also underestimated that a lot. I mean, with every celebrity, you do have different claims, and some are completely unfounded. But I think that some of these lawsuits, there's receipts. And there's footage, and there's voice recordings. And I think that for a man, it's also very interesting, for the culture of hip hop, so many artists record themselves, and they probably, when they were, recording themselves in 2005, never saw the year 2025 and how accessible that media would be to actually make a case for things. And I think that's a big part of the gumbo of Sean Combs and what he's dealing with.
Thanks to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.